Today we are going to learn about the primary key constraint and how we can apply it in on the existing table as well as on the new table. So let's just first let's just create one table. Create table. Give it a name as adventure books. You can give any name to your table, and I'm going to add some columns into it. Let's just take id. It will be of integer type, and here I'll apply primary key constraint. So primary key. Okay. Normally when we write query, constraint are written in capital letters. Otherwise SQL is not case sensitive, so you can write it in small letter as well. You won't be facing any issue. Okay, another column that we can add is name. Okay, and also we can give an author name. It should be of varchar type as well. Okay, we're good to go. Let's just run this query. Okay, it has been run successfully. Let's just see if our table is created or not. Okay, now select star from adventure books. Let's just see. Okay, it has been created successfully, and if you want to add any value, you can add it. So for adding the value, we normally use insert into command. Table name is adventure books. Let's make use of suggestions as well. Now provide the column names. First one is id, next one is name, and the last one is author name. Okay, now we'll be giving values that we want to add into these columns. First one is id and it is of integer type. Let's give it as 301. Next is name. Let's give name as princess anything. You can give any name. Oh, please make sure that you use single quotes whenever you are trying to enter a string. It's necessary in SQL. Now let's give author name as XYZ, anything. Okay, so let's run this query and see if we are able to successfully add the. Yes, you are able to do it. Now, since we have applied primary key constraint on the ID, so first let me show the table data. One row is added, whatever we have insert, so it's successful. Now if I want to use the same ID and want to add one another entry into the table, it will be giving an error. Because we have applied primary key constraint on it. So let's just change this name, and let's just change the value for this too. And let's just try to run this query again. See, it is giving primary key constraint here because primary key does not allow same values for the in the same column. So basically every row id should be unique and it should not be null. So that's our primary constraint, right? So first way is to apply the primary key constraint when we are creating the table. So this is one way. Okay, another way is to apply the primary key constraint on the existing table. So let's just take this database as an example, and if you have watched my earlier session you must have seen that I have created one table, romance books, and this table does not have any primary key. As you can see, id is of null type, name is as well of null type, author name can be nullable too, price is also nullable, so there is no primary key. Okay, so let's just apply primary key constraint for this existing table. One way to apply the constraint on an existing table is to use alter table command. Let's just try it. Alter table, our table name, romance books, and we'll be applying constraint. Provide the constraint name. So we are applying primary key constraint on the romance book, so give the name in that way only. Okay, next is to define which column is our primary key. So we are going to make the id as a primary key and we are good to go. Let's just try to run this query. Okay, we are getting an error and it's saying cannot define primary key constraint on nullable column in table. So as you can see, all of the columns in this table are nullable. So if we want to apply any primary key constraint on the column for this table, we have to make that column as not nullable. So how can we do it? We can make use of alter table command. So alter table, table name, okay, and now alter column, and what is our column name? id, and its data type is int. Now we want to make it not nullable, so just apply this not null constraint over here. Okay, let's just try to run this query and see if you're okay. It's now working. Okay, now we have made id as not nullable, so we can apply this constraint, primary constraint, now without any issue. Let's just run this query. As you can see, command completed successfully. So now if you will try to add the content into this romance books, let's just copy this command and try to add it into instead of romance books, it should name as romance books. It has id, name, author name, and price. Let's just add one more column, price. Okay, let's just give one data to, give it as 450. Okay, it might have some data, right? So let's just check our table first whether we have data into this table or not. So for fetching the data from the table, we can make use of select query. Run this. Okay, we have one content with the ID 101. So if we will try to add the content with ID 102, it should be able to add successfully. Okay, I have made a mistake while writing the name of the table. Okay, it's now fine. Let's just run this query, and one row affected. We have successfully added our data. Let's just check it once. Yes, one row is added and data is shown properly. Now if I will try to add one another content into this into this table, romance book table, with the same ID that is already existing, so it should give an error ideally. Okay, for the sake of our confirmation, I am updating all of that data except for ID, but it will give an error because primary key constraint is applied on the ID column, so we cannot add duplicate key into our table. So primary key constraint makes sure that your data in the particular column is unique and not null. So if I summarize the things that we have discussed, is that we can apply primary key constraint in two ways. First is the way while creating the table, apply the primary key constraint for the column. And if you have already created your table, then you have to make use of alter command and apply the primary key constraint upon the specific column, and you have to make sure that that column on which you are applying primary key constraint should be not null. So if it is null, you have to make it not null first, and then you have to apply the primary key constraint. Okay, I guess that's it for now. Thank you.